The assumed trade-off between productivity and worker rest is among capitalism's most persistent myths, contradicted by evidence showing well-rested workers are actually more productive, making excessive overtime often counterproductive except in brief, narrowly defined scenarios. Fatigue research documents unambiguously that exhaustion reduces efficiency, increases error rates, and degrades quality, with these negative effects frequently negating the nominal time gains from overtime hours. Yet American workplace culture continues privileging face time and hours worked over actual output, creating systems that simultaneously harm workers and reduce genuine productivity. International comparisons are illuminating and damning. Countries like Denmark, the Netherlands, and Germany have stricter working hour regulations, stronger unions, and cultural norms rejecting overwork glorification. Their productivity per hour worked often exceeds American rates despite fewer total hours. The mechanism is straightforward. Concentration, precision, and creativity require cognitive resources that fatigue destroys. Grinding through additional hours produces time, not value. American exceptionalism in work culture produces exceptional rates of worker burnout, not exceptional productivity. The research is conclusive. Studies show productivity per hour declines after approximately 40 hours weekly, with diminishing returns accelerating past 50 hours. Workers on 60-hour weeks produce little more total output than 40-hour weeks, while experiencing dramatically higher injury rates, quality defects, and turnover. The overtime premium seems cost-effective until you account for errors, accidents, rework, and replacement costs. Short-term overtime for genuine emergencies can be effective. Chronic overtime as operational strategy is economically irrational and morally indefensible. Structural changes enabling sustainable productivity begin with adequate baseline staffing. Chronic understaffing, implemented as cost-saving measure, forces structural overtime to maintain basic operations. Proper staffing eliminates this necessity, reduces sick leave through decreased stress, and improves retention. Recruitment and training costs for replacements often exceed the cost of adequate initial staffing. Production smoothing across the year prevents predictable crises. The November-December production panic is foreseeable. Annual targets could be distributed across 12 months rather than concentrated in final weeks. This requires longer-term planning over quarterly results obsession, but sustainable businesses think in years and decades, not quarters. Compensation structures must eliminate overtime dependency. If base wages are subsistence level, workers have no choice but health-damaging additional hours. Living wages remove financial coercion from overtime decisions. Overtime premium rates should genuinely compensate for the physiological burden. Current time and a half may be insufficient given health costs. Alternatives like time off in lieu allow actual recovery rather than just payment. Hazard pay for genuinely dangerous conditions compensates risk without hour inflation. Cultural transformation requires leadership modeling. When executives send emails at midnight and work weekends, the message is clear regardless of verbal work-life balance platitudes. Leaders must demonstrate healthy boundaries, leaving on time, using vacation, treating illness as legitimate absence. Performance evaluation should measure results, not hours. Rewarding the worker who accomplishes tasks efficiently in 40 hours, not the one who takes 60 hours for the same output, realigns incentives. The glorification of workaholics must end. Excessive work is dysfunction, not virtue. Case studies demonstrate viability. Manufacturing companies that optimized shift schedules to minimize fatigue report accident reductions of 30 to 40% with simultaneous productivity increases from reduced defects. Tech companies eliminating overtime and implementing results-focused evaluation report improved code quality, faster project completion, and dramatically reduced turnover. Hospitals limiting nursing shifts to maximum 10 hours with mandatory breaks reduced medication errors and patient harm measurably. Initial skepticism, "it won't work in our industry," gives way to empirical confirmation that health protection and performance are synergistic, not antagonistic. The implementation pathway matters. Top-down mandate without worker input breeds resentment. Collaborative redesign, engaging workers who know operational realities, produces better outcomes and buy-in. Pilots in specific departments can demonstrate feasibility before company-wide rollout. Metrics must track not just production volume, but quality, safety incidents, worker retention, and employee health indicators. Comprehensive measurement reveals that productivity, narrowly defined as units per hour, misses crucial factors like defect rates and turnover costs. The societal dimension transcends individual companies. Workers chronically sickened or permanently disabled by overwork burden healthcare and social support systems we all fund. Early deaths from work-related disease mean lost tax revenue and economic contribution over decades. Children whose parents are exhausted and absent suffer developmental harms with generational consequences. Democratic participation withers when citizens are too exhausted for civic engagement beyond work. The reconceptualization of productivity as sustainable value creation rather than maximum extraction in minimum time isn't utopian. It's economically rational and morally necessary. Obstacles are primarily political, not technical. The knowledge exists, successful models are documented, and the business case is sound. Resistance comes from short-term thinking privileging quarterly results over long-term sustainability, power dynamics, where worker exploitation generates executive wealth, and ideological commitments to market fundamentalism, rejecting regulation. Overcoming these requires political will, stronger labor law enforcement, mandatory rest periods and hour limits, penalties for violations that exceed profit from noncompliance, and empowered workers through unionization and collective bargaining. The question isn't whether protecting worker health while maintaining productivity is possible. Evidence proves it is. The question is whether American capitalism will embrace sustainable practices voluntarily or require regulatory force. Workers deserve schedules that don't destroy their bodies and minds. Companies benefit from healthy, engaged, productive workforces. Society gains from reduced healthcare costs and increased economic contribution. The path forward is clear. The remaining barrier is political will to prioritize human well-being over short-term profit maximization. Until that shift occurs, workers will continue being ground down by systems that mistake exhaustion for dedication and hours for productivity, achieving neither true efficiency nor human flourishing.